Hi, my name is Antonio Kanja, and today on Michigan Crossroads we're going to talk craft beer. Before we get started, I'm going to give you some basic information so you're not lost. Craft beer is not exactly like regular beer. While all beer has the same four ingredients, grains, hops, yeast, and water, it's the differences in these ingredients plus some extra stuff added that makes craft beer different from regular beer. Since we have that squared up, let's head to Kalamazoo to check out Arcadia Ales. A big shout out to Stefan and Carmen for taking us on this tour of how the beer is brewed.
This is a Sprinkman, which is made in Milwaukee, so it's an American-made brew kettle. So, you know, just looking down, and we can have Dale, who's up there, go a little more in depth about it. But basically, those two tanks over there, hot water or hot liquor, cold liquor. Basically, you try to keep those tanks at like an ambient temperature. So then, when you're using those liquors, it's a lot easier. Like, the cold water one, it circulates through like the ambient water table. So it kind of like helps regulate that. In the summer, your water temperature will be higher. It'll have a higher ambient temperature. In the winter, it'll be lower. So you got to bring it up to a certain temperature for brewing, but then you also have to get it down to a certain temperature for the fermentation process. Outside, there's like a grain silo. So that's all of our base grain. This right here, because we do use different grain bills and some of them aren't in that grain silo. So like there'll be like a bunch of bags of grain sitting here, barley, malt, whatever, and then they, you know, dump it in here by hand. But basically, so this outdoor, the outdoor grain silo gets pumped into this miller here. So basically all the grain goes through here and gets milled in this thing. So if we're doing like, you know, some beers have 4 different, you know, malts or grains in it. So most of the grain comes from outside, then you have to like, you know, make up for the rest of it right here, and it's all by hand on that side of it. So that's always a process, but gets pumped through there, into there, or from outside into there. This mills it, and then basically shoots it up through here into this holding tank. And then eventually gets piped up into the whole brewing process up there. You know, we're working with fermentable product at the end, so like you don't want to have too much contact with it at all. We can walk up here and check it out. So basically, after that grain gets milled, comes through these, and there's turbines in each one of these that basically like push it in here, drop the malt and grain into these. This is the first brew kettle here. So
we have a mash lauter ton. Mix the grain with water. And drain it.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, but like, you know, there's still chemistry involved behind this. Like I couldn't jump up here and brew a batch of beer. You know, like it's all by hand, it's all by feel. You know, you can control all this. So like, this is the mash lauter right there that he was just talking about, you know? So basically like, this is where the grain comes in here. This is your hot water coming in. And this is like the first this is like the first cook, right?
Might be the grain with hot water?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you want to get it to around 150 Fahrenheit. That activates the enzymes that are in the malt.
Yeah, and this is basically like extracting the sugars, correct? That's what
pretty much. It converts the starches into sugars, and we're just extracting pretty much the sugar from the grain.
Like the sugar is what drives all the fermentation, you know? So 3 bar, you know, then he's gonna put it in here. This right here is like a steam hat on it. Sometimes they call it a China hat. A little racist, I think, but.
That's what it is brewing textbook.
I know. He's in the brewing school, and that's exactly what they call it. You know, but basically it's like,
Wait, why do they call it a China hat?
well, just because of the way it looks, you know.
Oh.
That thing right there. Yeah. So the beer goes over that, and it essentially steams it. So that's the second process, and then the third one is it gets piped from there, and it comes in on this angle right here. Like, see how that pipe going in? All right, the tangential outlet. So it comes in here because we don't like filter any of our beer or pasteurize anything. So basically this is like kind of helps with the filtration. It comes in and like spins around like a whirlpool, and everything like collects in the middle of this here, right?
All the solids, like
Yup.
proteins and hops.
Yep, hops and protein. So it's just the way, like there's many different processes that we use to like filter, even though we really don't filter through like a screen or a fine, anything like that. But there are processes that we use. So this is like one of the first steps. So this is the last of the three processes in the brewing. Yeah, so pellet hops, take a couple and you can, if you rub them through your hand, you'll get the, you know, the oils and all the, yeah, but if you just like, you know,
Fresh it up.
yeah, it's fresh. Like people think the pellets are different, but this is really, you know, it's fresh hops. It's a plant, so you got to do something to it. Yeah, I mean, that's what hops are used for in the whole process. It's bittering. It's aromatic, but also bittering. So some hops you get more like in the nose, you know, like when you go and drink an IPA, you get that, you know, but I love that smell though, huh? So like I said, this is like the heart of it, but this right here, this area is the soul of it all. This is where all the magic happens right here. So that's where we like make the beer essentially, or the wort, and it gets piped up through the ceiling. I should have shown you those pipes, but it's on the other side of here, but then comes back in here. But this is where all the fermentation happens. This is where wort gets added with yeast to make beer. So we're an English-inspired American brewery. So this is what you'd find like if you were to go to like the UK. All these open fermentation vessels. So in this room we use one yeast strain. We use Ringwood yeast. Now it's Arcadia Ale's proprietary yeast. We've done like 1,400 generations or something like that. Those are kind of what we build our yeast up in right there. Basically, we take like yeast that's, I mean, we can go down here and you'll see it, but we harvest yeast and we use it and keep the process going from beer to beer. So because these are open vat fermenters, basically what happens is you put the beer in here and it literally bubbles over the side like that. So we harvest this that's sitting on the top, that's yeast right there. So we harvest all this, but this is kind of like our process that we do here. So you'll come in here and there'll be like this much yeast sitting on the top of one of these fermenters, and it literally just like spills over the side, and that's why it smells so good in here.
So you take that yeast and put it in the next beer?
Well, we take that yeast and prop it up and then use it for the next beer because it is all the same yeast that we essentially use. This room is only for the Ringwood, the proprietary yeast that we have. Because these are open vat fermenters, you know, that yeast could contaminate another yeast strand and then you don't know what you have. There could be an issue with contamination. So that's something that we don't want to mess around with. So this is for Ringwood here. But yeah, I mean, this is like the heart of it, you know. So stuff sits in here anywhere from like 14 days to a month or so, maybe more sometimes. It's a process, and this is just the first part.
The only thing better than the tour we got was the barbecue we had after it. If you're ever in Kalamazoo, make sure you check out Arcadia. Now something a little closer to home. We're gonna head to Dearborn Brewing.
I'm John Rosinski, and I am the owner of Dearborn Brewing. A little bit over 2.5 years now, or about 2.5.
2.5 years?
We opened in August of 2015. I started homebrewing. Started on the stovetop in the kitchen, just like an awful lot of other brewers. I had heard about it when I was an undergrad in college and always thought, well, that sounds like kind of a cool hobby. I should look into that when I graduate. It turned out to be a harmless hobby, and it didn't lead to anything extravagant or anything like that.
Brewery.
I got tired of waiting for somebody else to put a brewery in Dearborn, and I had the means to make it happen, so I did. We're in a 2,500 square foot building. We shoehorned in a 7-barrel brewing system, so a full batch is roughly 217 gallons of beer. We usually do about 210 or so, just to allow for some runoff and some particulate matter to not end up in the fermenter. We have 8 employees on staff right now, in addition to my wife and I, and we just keep trying to make a go of it. Yes.
And then how many different kinds of beer are there?
We have 10 different beers on tap right now. The one that sells the best. No, it changes. I'm an IPA guy at heart, but like during the summer, I love a good Belgian wit beer or Hefeweizen or something like that. So it'll change back and forth over the course of a year. No, we circle them in and out. The newest one right now is our Holiday Ale that went on tap the night before Thanksgiving. Still in this spot. Hopefully we've found a way to expand our operation a little bit, but with the new development going in across the street and everything, I think it would be folly to try to move away from downtown Dearborn right when it's starting to really get going. So, who knows, maybe an off-site brewing facility to increase our production. Obviously, it's a volume business, and we've got a couple of distribution accounts, and we'd like to see that number go up. So, but to do that, you have to actually be able to make enough beer to sell to those people. Oh God, I hope so. Yeah, that has been the long-term goal since the start. Yeah, some days happier than others, but I just, you know, I got to open a brewery in my hometown, and so far so good. And, you know, it allows us to do a lot of really cool things and meet a lot of really cool people. You know, we get to help local charities. One of my favorite things is we actually take our used brewing grains over to Greenfield Village, and we get to feed the cows and everything over there. So it's just neat to be able to say you can do stuff like that. So, and this affords me the opportunity to do it. So.
What a nice, homey feel at the Dearborn Brewing. Big thank you to John and Sheila for their hospitality. Now we're going to take a quick look at a couple other breweries and see where the beer ends up after it leaves them.
This is a homage beat.
Hi, this is Mike from Breland Market. We do this event at least twice a year to raise money for good cause, for the community, have fun, and try a whole bunch of craft beer.
What's up, bro? You good? Hey guys, this is Edmund from Breland Market. We're here sampling about 100 different craft beers, seeing what people like, seeing what they enjoy.
Looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining me. Hope you had fun. I'm Antonio Kanja. Cheers.